Hi there. It's May the 14th and time for Proverbs 14. So, today we're talking about wisdom and folly. Spends a lot of time comparing wise from the foolish. More of one than the other, right? Okay. Wisdom, a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. What's it say over here? That is, taketh pain to profit her family, and to do that which concerneth her duty in her house. The one who walks uprightly fears Adonai, but one devious in his ways despises him. Right? It says the righteousness over here, one who walks in his righteousness, that is, in uprightness of heart and without hypocrisy. Right? Without hypocrisy. Can you do that? Truth. 3. In the mouth of a fool is a rod for his back, but the lips of the wise protect them. Right? Usually by keeping your mouth shut. Right? Okay, 4 is a good one. Where there are no oxen, the stalls are clean, but from the strength of the ox comes an abundant harvest. Right? You ever drive by an auto shop and you see there's cars everywhere, okay? That guy's making money, okay? You drive by a nice, clean shop and everything's spotless and the floors are clean and all the tools are put away and everything's beautiful. There's no abundant harvest there. He's not making any money. Yeah. So, yeah. 5, a trustworthy witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. There's plenty of those, aren't there? Right? More of one than the other. 6, a scoffer seeks wisdom, yet finds none, but knowledge is easy to the discerning. Got that? I always look at the notes over here. For the maintenance of his own ambition and not for God's glory, as Simon Magus. Right. People that are after self-gratification. Right? Won't find wisdom. Okay? Discerning. Right? But knowledge is easy to him that will understand. That's discerning. Knowing good from bad, right from wrong. Right? And your spirit can do that. 7, good advice. Walk away from a fool, for you will find no knowledge on his lips. Right? These people, these protesters, walk away. You're not going to change them. It says all over here that they're just going to argue with you and call you names and beat you up. Right? Because they don't want to know the truth. Okay? 8, the wisdom of the prudent is to consider his way, but the folly of fools is deception. Folly of fools is deception. There's deceit over here. Foolishness of fools is deceit. Right? That's what deception is, deceit, lying. 9, fools mock guilt of sin, but among the upright is goodwill. Goodwill. There's a note over here too, right? Doth not know the grievousness thereof, nor God's judgments against the same. Right? But among the righteous there is a favor, goodwill. Right? Fools mock the guilt of sin because they have no idea how, what it will get them, right? It says over here that, they do not know the grievousness thereof, nor God's judgments against them. Good one. 10, the heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy. Okay? That's a good saying right there. And notes over here too. I love this Geneva Bible for all the footnotes it has in it. A man's conscience is witness of his own grief, so another cannot feel the joy and comfort which a man feeleth in himself, right? And why is that? Because God created every one of us to be unique, okay? You can walk down the same road as somebody and you will have different experiences, different life experiences, right? You can empathize with somebody, but you can't know exactly how they feel because you didn't go through their circumstances, whether it be bitterness or joy. Okay? You just can't. 11, the house of the wicked will be demolished, but the tent of the upright will flourish. Right? The tent of the upright. You like that? It says tabernacles, which were tents back then. We're called tabernacles. Right? They'll tear down the house, but the tent will flourish. There's a way that seems right to the man, to a man, but its end is the way of death. Right? You need to follow the Lord, not man. Right? That's a good, I like that one. Right? If you're plugging along, I know what I'm doing, and this is what we're going to do, and you're not consulting the Lord and following the Lord, right? Its end is the way of death, okay? You need to follow the Lord. This one goes along with 10, 13. Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief, right? You can make somebody feel good for a while, right? But it always comes back, right? You showeth the aluminum to sin seemeth sweet, but the end thereof is destruction. Different, right? These people that laugh, but their heart is aching, and it always comes back, right? 14, a backsliding heart partakes of its ways, and a good man is rewarded for his. So the heart that declineth over here, right, shall be satiated with his own ways. Right. He that forsaketh God shall be punished and made weary of his sins wherein he delighted. Right. Backsliding heart partakes of its ways. You get full. A good man is rewarded for his. It says over here, a good man shall depart from him. Shall be satiated with his own ways. Partakes, satiated. It says over here, full. Okay. That's not a good thing, okay? 15, the naive. Foolish over here. They call it naive in they're being nice in in the Tree of Life version. The naive believes every word, but the shrewd discerns his steps. Right? It's kind of true. Foolish and naive, very similar. I always thought of foolish as somebody who just refused to listen and did it on purpose. Right? Naive is somebody who just doesn't know. Okay? 16, the wise fears and turns away from evil, but the fool is hot-headed and reckless. Right? We see these protesters. I always like using protesters because they're carrying signs. I'm a fool, right? I might as well say that because somebody else printed it and handed it to them and said, I'll give you $100 to carry this sign around there and scream. Right? And they're working for money. They're not. Most of them don't even feel what they're carrying the sign for. And that's a fool. Right? Fool is hot-headed and reckless. One with a short temper acts foolishly, and one with crafty schemes is hated. Scammers, right? Crafty schemes. A lot of politicians have crafty schemes, right? They seem to be making a lot more money than we're paying them to represent us. That's about that. If we did that, we'd be in jail. Okay. Okay. 18, the naive inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Right? You want to be crowned with knowledge? I want to be crowned with knowledge. That's why we read this over and over again. All the knowledge you need will be found in the Bible. Okay. Everything. 19, evil men will bow down in the presence of the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. Right? At some point. There's a note over here. If this come not daily to pass, we must consider that it is because of our sins which let God's working. Right? Sooner or later, the evil will bow down in the presence of the good, right? When they're found out, when they're caught. Hey, property enriches, poverty enriches, poor and the rich. Compare the poor and the rich, okay? Now, rich doesn't mean wealthy, okay? Rich is completely different, but sometimes they cross the two of them. The poor is hated even by his neighbor, but many are those who love the rich. Okay, they're talking about wealthy, right? So wealthy people have lots of friends. If you want to find out who your true friends are, lose all your money, okay? I remember one time in the 80s, Donald Trump, who has always been rich, said, at some point, I would like to lose all my money just to see who my real friends are. Okay? And he may have at some point. Mhm. Many are those who love the rich. Whoever despises his neighbor sins, but whoever is gracious to the needy is blessed. Okay? Huh. So right here, the poor is hated even by his neighbor, which means the poor is your neighbor, right? If you despise your neighbor, you're sinning. Okay? Those two goes together. Okay? And we'll just put those together. Right? Hmm? If you are rich, you should be helping out the poor. 22. Indeed, those who plot evil go astray, but grace and truth come to those who plan good. Right? A lot of people plotting evil. This is a good one. In all work there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. In all work there's profit. Never look down on somebody who is working. Somebody is willing to leave their house and go to a job, even if it's a menial job. They are working. They should be honored, right? No matter what the job is. In all work there is profit. All labor there is abundance. Mere talk leads only to poverty. I see people say someday, right? Lazy. Hey, 24. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the folly of fools is their foolishness. Right? Now, if you are wise, right, if you seek only wisdom and always seek wisdom, riches will follow. Okay? And riches doesn't mean wealthy. Okay? That corrupts. Riches means you always have enough to eat. You always have a place to sleep. You always have clothes to wear. Right? Things you should be thankful for. Right? That is rich. You don't have to worry about those things. 25. A truthful witness saves lives, but one who utters lies is treacherous. Right. The evil person will blame somebody for something, and there's a witness that says, no, he didn't do it. He was with me. I saw it. Right. But somebody's uttering lies. There's a lot of people, even very famous people, right? We won't mention names, but, right, who did nothing wrong, but were accused of things by evil people, and they paid false witnesses, right, to say false things and lie. But in the end, it always comes out at some point, right? They say there's a large percentage of people in prison that are actually innocent and didn't do anything, but nobody will listen to them. A lot of these people get saved in prison, and that's the only way they make it through. 26. In the fear of Adonai, one has strong confidence. It will be a refuge for his children. Right? Your children shall have hope. Right? I was always fear of Adonai, and my children followed after me. They're grown now in their 40s. Okay? I can't believe my kids are that old. Right? And have a refuge. Okay? They can call me anytime they need a uplifting voice. They do. The fear of Adonai is a fountain of life. Freeing one from the snares of death. Right. A large population is a king's glory, but lack of subjects is a prince's ruin. Right. A king is only a king as long as he has followers. If everybody turns their back on him, he's not a king. Right. 29. One who is slow to anger shows great understanding, but a quick-tempered one exalts folly or foolishness. Right. It's a good saying. Slow to anger. That's not always easy, right? You see injustice and you get to righteous anger, You pray for patience, God will give you opportunities to teach you patience. He won't just go, bing, you're patient, okay? He will make you be slow to anger, right? A lot of it's just from understanding, okay? I understand where this person's coming from. I understand why he's upset, right? Even if he's wrong, he believes, right? And you need to validate that. I believe you're angry because you think because this happened. Okay? That's having great understanding. 30, a tranquil heart is life to the body. Tranquil, at peace, right? Sound. What's this? Body. What? Tranquil heart is life to the body. But envy is rottenness to the bones. Rotting of the bones. Always, I want this, I want this, I want this, right? It'll rot your bones out, okay? You need to learn to be satisfied with what you got. Mm-hmm. 31, the one who oppresses the poor shows contempt for his maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors him. Okay, that's God, Adonai, the Lord. Right? You oppress the poor, look down on them, that's oppressing them, right? Making them feel like they are less than human. You're showing contempt for God who made them, right? Whoever is kind to them honors God. And God does not forget. Okay? It's important. 32, the wicked is brought down in his calamity, yet the righteous has a refuge even in death. Hey, there's that righteous one. We're making all those green. The righteous has a refuge even in death, right? Just to step into eternity and be with the Lord, that's not a bad thing. Okay? 33, wisdom rests in the heart of the discerning, and even among fools she is known, right? But discerning. That's understanding, discerning, knowing good from bad. If you have discernment, you can tell, okay? And you can pray for discernment, and God will give you discernment, and the Holy Spirit will tell you if something is right or wrong, good or bad, but you need to listen, okay? Not just, no, I don't think so. I think he's a nice guy. Well, you know what? Discernment, right? Wisdom rests in the heart of the discerning. Okay? It's one of the gifts of the Spirit. You can just be gifted with discernment, where you just, something inside you knows good and bad, but the Holy Spirit can also discern for you. Okay? 34, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. We're trying to be righteous now, aren't we? We're trying to turn our country around and be righteous. And 35, the king shows favor toward a servant who acts wisely, but his wrath is on the one who is disgraceful. So there you go. That's Proverbs 14. Highlighted lots of stuff in here, didn't we? Neat. Starts with this. In the mouth of the fool is a rod for his back, right? Somebody's going to punch you. The lips of the wise protect him, right? By being quiet most of the time, right? Horse hide, where there are no oxen, the stalls are clean, but from the strength of the ox comes an abundant harvest. Right? You can harvest, if you're going to be profitable, you have to get dirty, okay? Goodwill. Among the upright is goodwill. Fools mock guilt of sin, which means they don't know that they don't care. They laugh at it. And they do. They laugh. They make devil's horn signs and, and they have no idea. And you tell them they wouldn't listen, that your sin is going to get you in a very, very bad place. They mock that. But among the upright is goodwill. Righteous, there is favor over here. And 10 and 13, these go together. So we'll read them together, right? The heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy. Right? Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. Okay? You can't know exactly how somebody else feels, okay? Not your best friend, not your own spouse. You can't know exactly how they feel because you did not. I mean, somebody's entire life experiences molds them into the person they are. Nobody had the same experiences. Nobody went through the same feelings, You might have had the same thing happen to you, right? Identically, but your feelings will be different, right? And your memories will be different, right? Nobody can know exactly how I feel except the Lord who is inside you. Okay? Important stuff. Well, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. Right? If you're not consulting the Lord in your doings, right, you're going to get in trouble. If you ask the Lord, and He'll tell you, don't go that way, but I want to go that way. I told you not to go that way. That's the way to death. Hey, what do we highlight up down here? The poor is hated even by his neighbor, but many are those who love the rich. Right, we talked about that. Whoever despises his neighbor sins, but whoever is gracious to the needy is blessed. Okay? Poor is hated even by his neighbor. Whoever despises his neighbor sins. Okay? Right there. Right there. People love the rich because they're rich. Okay? Would they still love them if they were poor, or would they be hated by their neighbors? Mm-hmm. 23. In all hard work there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Go out and do something, okay? And don't look down on somebody else that's doing something. 23. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the folly of fools is foolishness. Okay? Well, I have known wise people that are very poor, but they are rich. Okay? They are a joy to be around, and they're always willing to help you. They will always share their meal with you. Okay? Even though they're poor, they are rich. They are not wealthy, but they are rich. Okay? That's having enough and knowing you have enough and being thankful for what you have. That is being rich. Okay? And that's part of the crown of being wise. The very end of this, being wise is not about knowledge. Knowledge is what you're seeking, right? But being wise is realizing that you're not wise and God is all wise. Okay? Get to that in chapter 30. 26 is highlighted. In the fear of Adonai, one has a strong confidence. It will be a refuge for his children. Right? And it goes on. The fear of Adonai is a fountain of life, turning one from the snares of death. Right? Fear of the Lord. Awe, reverence, respect. Never wanting to disappoint him, right, is the fear of the Lord. Strong confidence. And your children will have a refuge, right? 29 is highlighted. One who is slow to anger shows great understanding. But a quick-tempered one exalts foolishness or folly. It's easy to be quick-tempered sometimes. Just fly off the handle. It takes a lot to hold it in and be slow to anger. That's when you should be praying, right? Right when something makes you really angry. That's when you should be praying. Right there at that time. Right? Tranquil heart, peaceful heart is life to the body. But envy is rottenness to the bones, right? Always wanting something you don't have. The one who oppresses the poor shows contempt for his maker. But whoever is kind to the needy honors him, God, his maker, right? God made everybody. If you look down on them, if you oppress them, if you belittle them, you're showing contempt for God. Okay? They are put there so you can help them. Okay? That's why the poor are there. Right? The righteous has a refuge even in death. Okay? Even in death. And righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. There you go. That's Proverbs 14. Lots of good stuff in there. Just keep doing this and keep doing this, right? Well, stay tuned later today. I think we're in John chapter 4. We're beginning John 4 and are through the New Testament in a year today. We're in day 134. And the short videos usually around 5 minutes because they're stretching the New Testament out through a whole year. So those are nice, short, easy afternoon studies. And at the end, we'll have read the entire New Testament, right? Again. So stay tuned for that. Give us a like if you think about it. But tomorrow we'll do it again. See ya.